What is the issue? In 2016, Malaysia produced 13.9 million tons of waste, and of this, only 17.5% was recycled. So where does the rest end up? Well, they end up across 170 waste disposal sites in Malaysia. And this poses some risks. Firstly, it produces greenhouse gases such as methane, which contributes to the global warming effect. Secondly, the leachate contamination from these landfills pollutes the water table. This is not only unsafe for humans, but also toxic to wildlife nearby. Thirdly, vermin infestation can lead to the spread of diseases in nearby communities. So what is the process of waste management in Malaysia? This can be broken down into 5 key components. Firstly, we have the generation of solid waste at households and commercial areas. This also involves sorting of waste for recycling. Next, we have collection, which involves the scheduling of compactors or trucks for waste collection. This also involves providing recycle bins for recyclables. Third, we have transport, which involves the transportation of waste to sites for transfers, recovery or disposal. And after that, involves recovery or treatment. This involves secondary sorting of waste, for example, plastics, glass, paper or aluminium. This also involves treatment and recovery of other waste streams. And finally, we have disposal, which involves landfilling or incineration and other environmental management aspects. So across these components, we have identified areas that could be improved in the waste management process. Firstly, we find that there's inadequate separation of waste at the source. We also find that there is no provision of recycling bins in most condominiums. Under the recovery and treatment aspect, we found that there is unregulated and unmonitored recyclables market, which involves the importation of waste plastics into Malaysia. And finally, in terms of landfilling, we find that there is only 14 out of the 170 waste disposal sites are sanitary, which involve the proper management and disposal of waste. Separation of waste at the source and recycling has been a hot topic in Malaysia recently. Here at Taylor's University, we've had great success with our solid waste recycling program, meeting 60% of the targets in 2016 and going on to hit 90% by the end of 2017. The progress around the rest of Malaysia, however, has been quite different. Here, an article from January 2019 questions the success of the mandatory waste separation more than 3 years after it was announced in September 2015. And in this article by the Malay Mail, Minister of Energy Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change, Yeo Bee Yin, states that waste separation and recycling practice is still low in Malaysia. In this article by the Star Online, states that while it is mandatory for landed houses to have waste separation at source, it is quite difficult to accomplish or enforce in high-rise condominiums.
Okay, so right now we're in one of the many condominiums in Kuala Lumpur, and we're just going to check out how waste is managed in terms of separation and disposal. And so yeah, we're approaching the refusal room.
So this is the refuse room where the residents throw away their garbage. If you have a look inside, you'll notice that there is no recycle bin, just these two types, one type of a garbage bin.
And if you look in the inside of the bins, general waste and recyclable waste are all just thrown in together, like plastic bottles, cartons, food plastic containers, and yeah.
This shows the problem of separation at source, which is seen in condominiums.
Okay, so Econites, my name is Fadli Bakhtiar. I'm the Program Director of Econites. Econites is an environmental organization based in Kuala Lumpur. We've been around since 2005. Our vision is our motto is inspiring sustainable living. our goal is to mainstream sustainable practices in Malaysia. So I think in 2015 they have implemented the Waste Separation Act by the Ministry of Local Housing, and I don't. To me personally, I find it up until now is being poorly enforced, because when you go to the ground and we ask the public about this act, why whether they are properly dispose their waste, they demand some sort of support from the government. But then from the government side, they feel like it's not realistic, it's not feasible, because if they provide that, still there's no promise that the people will separate. But what improvements can be made? Obviously, it's a lot to do with perception. People have a wrong perception on waste. For example, they don't think that waste can be turned into wealth, right? They don't know that if you throw organic waste into dispose it, irresponsibly, it goes to the landfill and then it can produce methane that is 20 over times more harmful than carbon dioxide, for example. It's all about perception. It's a very simple issue to tackle if we find the root cause. So the root cause is people don't segregate their organic waste and non-organic waste, right? So the bottom up is really about our level of people would say level of education, but I would agree on that. But when we think about it, it's really about discipline. If you look at these countries that you say, you can see the level of discipline is higher. Japan, Singapore, they have a very strict code of discipline, not just from the home, it's across the country. So because of that, people need to follow a system. We, again, Malaysian, a very laid back society. The ministry have done a lot of surveys and research. They say the level of awareness is really high. Do you do it? No, not. This is quite, I won't say sensitive. I think that I have a mixed feeling in terms of people bringing in things. It's just like any other unethical business conduct, just like anything, human trafficking, wildlife trafficking. It's, to me, it's almost the same level. People want to make money, and there's no plan. We don't know how extensive the issue is now, but it's unfortunate because it's really here. And China is, for example, has shut its borders. It's a state of limbo. What do we do with it? So I feel like the damage has been done. So I think, again, back to it, number one is stop, be more serious about stopping it from coming in. They have to review all sorts of, maybe do an audit, and secondly is figure out how to dispose it. If you do. Yeah, this is the bin. So this is a 60-liter compost bin where all our organic waste, such as food, we will throw it in. Of course, it doesn't look really pleasant, but then it does the wonders where it will decompose by itself slowly. We call it an aerobic process, very slow, about 3 to 6 months. But then after that, once it's completely, I would say, like mature or like decomposed, we can take it and use it to fertilize. That there's a relation between the compost and actually absorbing CO2 and store it in the ground. It's quite amazing. So if imagine if everyone does it, we will actually improve the soil quality, and it can store more carbon. So it can help with carbon emission reduction.